Guys, as you know, we have started the mock interview series of around 20 to 30 videos for data engineer. So this is going to be another video of the same series. Trust me, this video is going to add immense value in your data engineering and interview preparation journey. So hey everyone, my name is 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 and without wasting any time, let's start the interview. But before that, do subscribe to my YouTube channel for the upcoming videos and join my WhatsApp channel for more data engineering stuff.
Hey, hi Nilesh, how are you?
Hey, hi Ankur. I'm good. How are you?
Okay, I'm good too. Okay, before we discuss about your profile and jump into the projects and technical aspects you have already worked on, why don't you introduce yourself, your total
Sure,
experience, what are the technologies and tech stacks you are working on, what is your current
sure,
project, etc.
sure, sure. So this is Nilesh here. I'm working in JP Morgan Chase from last 5 years as a data engineer position as a role. So in this last 5 years, I have worked on various big data technologies, which include uh, like Apache Spark, Scala, and also on a cloud AWS. In my daily BAU, I used to take care of our data pipelines where we extract data from various sources like Teradata, Amazon S3, and wherever required, like CSV file also we have used to take care. And then we do some kind of a processing transformation over that and then load it into a specific target. So my targets here includes Cassandra clusters, again S3 buckets, or like again any downstream team which require data from our end. Along with that, that data will be used for the modeling purpose for our firm. So that's my daily BAU task. I also have a knowledge in Spark SQL, Apache Spark, and then your this thing Airflow, data modeling sides of the data, and all those stuff. Apart from that, I have been graduated from IIT Warangal, and I've been like from the day one working in this same domain of big data engineering, and have touched many flavors of this of my team, different projects. So that's from my side, Ankur. Yeah.
What is the latest project you are currently working on, and what is your day-to-day responsibilities?
So my latest project, which I'm currently working, is on to make sure like we are doing the migration. We have many on-premise model, and we are migrating it to AWS cloud. So there's a lift and shift is going on, and I have to take care like on daily basis if any lift and shifts going on, and if it's any breakdown in between. So we as a team member, like I as a team member, I have to make sure triage the issue, find the resolution, and move forward. And along with that, there's like many automations comes into picture, which include like doing the copying of data from one place to another that requires an automation. So there I'm also being a part of the team and giving my inputs. So yeah, that's like much more of it, making sure that our current BAU pipeline should not broke because we are lifting and shifting the data. Data should match 100%. And the aggregation which we are doing the on-prem, that also match with the 100% on the AWS cloud. So that makes my daily BAU work on, yeah. These
Okay, as
projects.
you mentioned, you are already involved in some migration project.
Yes.
Let's discuss about migrations. Uh, let's say your company has a monolithic ETL system based on Hadoop and Spark and 𝗬𝗓 and etc.
Yeah.
So they want to migrate their complete system to any cloud. So
Okay.
what
Okay.
will be your strategy with minimal downtime? So I want you to walk me through the steps like a strategy. You can't stop or terminate the cluster of which is going on your on-premise system suddenly and everything won't start
Yeah.
like a magic in cloud. So there will be a strategy. There will be you have to prioritize your jobs. There should be a planning before you do this thing. So
Sure.
how do you do that? Let me just walk me through the steps.
Sure, Ankur. So, for this full shifting from an on-prem to an AWS or like some other cloud, there are like few steps, a few plan which we need to follow so that this will not create a bottleneck in future and we will not again go back to the on-prem side. So,
Mhm.
what strategies we can follow is like first we have to understand our AWS cloud is ready or not for the ingestion. So, first the planning, which includes like where should we keep our source table? If the source is still in on-prem or it's coming to AWS. If it is coming to AWS, then all the source thing like getting the S3 bucket, having all the IAM policies, having make sure like we should get the proper storage capacity from any any source team, basically like any cloud team. What I want to say, cloud team here reference AWS or GCP whatsoever. So as a first step, we should plan the initial migration steps, where include the uh, configuration of the data on the cloud side, having all the permissions and all those access which will be required to run our jobs. So this is the first step which we should look into it. And the second step, now we have to understand the volume of data which we have to deal with on daily basis. And accordingly, we have to provisions the clusters for our computation. Now, in this scenario, we did not to stop the on-prem jobs because that is our daily BAU, that is giving us the business. So in that case, we should make sure like whatever we are doing in on-prem, that should come as a copy and put into AWS till we get it productionized. So basically, the pipeline should be one more direct pipeline should come into parallelly, running with the on-prem jobs, making sure whatever aggregation we are doing on on-prem, that logic still suffice. Only thing is that when we are connecting to AWS, the connection part has to be taken care explicitly. There will be no change in the current production job, so that we'll get the proper stats of on-prem production jobs. But I'm saying the parallel job, that you can say a prod parallel or like a perf environment job, in which we just make sure like whatever jobs we are running in on-prem, that should replicate in AWS cloud or in any of the cloud services. And basis of that, I'll get the stats of AWS versus on-prem jobs and just match it. If we find any discrepancies between these two jobs in terms of count, in terms of data comparison, then we can, for that specific job, we can go and triage that and then again start the full cycle of testing in the AWS cloud. So
Tell
that's
me,
the kind of planning. Yeah.
okay, tell me one thing, like when you say that you have to prioritize your jobs and you'll do this process. So if you have on-prem warehouse like Hive, now
Okay.
your client wants to make something like Redshift or etc.
Okay. Okay.
So how will you handle the schema conversion problem? Because the schema semantics underlying will be different in Hive and other warehouse wherever you are trying to dump your data in cloud.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So the schema conversion issues, how you can mitigate or what is the steps?
So there are few ways we can taken care of the schema thing, so that if I'm understanding properly, we have a Hive tables, we have a proper schema defined there. Now we are shifting it to AWS. I have to just make sure whatever schema is in the Hive table, that should come exactly into my AWS environment. So in that case, what we can do, we can use a Kafka streaming kind of a thing. What we should do, take all the Hive dump, put into a Kafka and create a schema registry from there. So in which way, so whatever you are consuming and wherever you are dumping, you just make sure with the help of schema registry, the schema should not be changed. If by any chance we saw that schema is getting deviating from the existing one, we can
Mm.
there itself stop the process and debug it and again like start so again start my pipeline to get data from Hive to our AWS. So on a nutshell, I would say we have to make either schema somewhere to be registered properly. That's why I want to use Kafka here. Kafka will come into picture. I'll just on a daily basis, one batch job will be created to take the dump from the Hive, put it into Kafka and start consuming into AWS S3. So that is a one of the way I can think of. Yeah.
Have you heard something called schema conversion tool or SCT in AWS?
Schema conversion tool, yes, okay. Like I heard it, but I haven't used it in my current BAU.
Okay,
Like
fine.
there's a way
That
we
I'm sure.
can just control the schema of source and target. But as of right now, we're actually doing this, like making sure that if anything goes down, we just would replay the logs and just see what is happening.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, fine. So have you ever involved with in data modeling, in model your data, create before you create the warehouse? Have you ever designed schemas like
Uh,
Snowflake, star schema, something like that?
yeah, I like not on very high level or not on very regular basis, because this requirement is pretty much we are kind of an in middle team where we have a downstream and upstream. But I do get a chance to work with some of the data from some of the models where I did the fact and dimension tables. So we have a requirement of specific use case where we get number of transaction for our JPMC credit card users. And there we have many attributes related to them. So I did the kind of a project, small project, a kind of a POC to my stakeholders where I have shown them how we can segregate the data in proper fact and dimensional. So yeah, I have a little bit of experience. We can go in that as well. Yeah.
I will give you a scenario. Okay.
Okay.
I'll copy paste the question in the chat box. So basically,
Okay.
you have to design a dimensional modeling for a social media. So I'll give you the question. So I pinged you in the chat box.
Okay. Let me just go through the question once. Yeah.
So, so let me make you understand. So basically, you are designing a backend for the social media platform, okay? Where
Okay.
user can post photos and other users can react to them using emojis. So the
Okay.
business wants to track the number and type of the reaction per post and allow
Okay.
the users to change or remove their reaction. And finally will be analyzing the trends, that is most reacted post, top emojis by
Okay.
region, daily
Okay.
activity, etc.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
how you will design a dimensional modeling so that you can answer this question, that for each day in the last 7 days, list the top 3 emojis used by the California on a
Okay.
post created by influencers. So influencers meaning who has the users more than 100K followers. So try to think in a from the very basic perspective first, that you need to think about entities. Like I want you to
Yes.
think
Correct.
about
Correct.
facts, and I need to think about dimensions and their schema
Yeah.
first. So
Okay.
design
Okay.
your schema in such a way so that you can
Okay.
answer this question by executing some analytical query at the end of your modeling.
Okay. Okay. Let me open one new whiteboard if you're able to see. Are you able to see the whiteboard?
I slowly. Yeah, I can see now. Yes.
Okay. I'll just paste this question inside the whiteboard. Okay.
If it is too large to fit in the screen, you can.
I'll just
Okay.
now. Is it fine for you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine for me. I mean, it should be
Okay.
fine for you.
A little bit small, but I'll manage. I'll just increase the font size.
You first try to think about the tables, the fact tables, the dimensions tables you are going to create.
Yes.
Then you think about what kinds of joins, how you'll
Yeah.
do the aggregations, and then you come up with the SQL. Even if the
Mm.
SQL is too much long, then you
Mm.
can let me know the concepts and your basic idea.
Sure. 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 So, okay, now as per the first, let's come on the basic thing like the entities, what I have to use here.
Mhm.
And okay, so let me get this text box. I'm also using this whiteboard first time, so a little bit. Okay.
Now, if it is too large for you, do this thing like copy paste the question in a notepad, okay,
Okay, yeah, that's what we match. Yeah,
and then you can.
yeah, that is much better. So, okay, you're able to see my notepad screen, correct? Or not?
Notepad, I am not able to see.
Then let me just share my notepad. Um, just sharing option screens. Okay. Now,
Yeah, I'm able to see now.
yeah, okay. So, okay, fine. Let's do in this way first. I'll just define the basic thing, the entities, and I'll just go for social media. You are designing a backend for social media platform. So, first of all, there's a social media platform. So it means it required a users. And a user, suppose, is one of the entity where I can give user as one of the actor or entity in which it has some attribute, like it must have its user ID as a unique key, which I will use to store in my database, the name, and suppose the name, my bad, sorry, name. Age I'll take for the restriction purpose just in the future, and also the email address
Mhm.
and I think date of birth. This much is enough for me as of right now for user entity. Now a user can post photos and other users can have them emojis. Emojis is like this. So for each user, a user can post photos and videos, something like that. So there must be another entity called as post,
Hmm.
in which I I should have one post ID, which is act as a primary key. I should have understand like which user has posted this particular post with
Hmm.
the referential of foreign key here.
Mhm.
And these two things, along with that, at what time it is being created, the post is what, post type is what, is it like I'm considering as an image as of right now. And if there, okay, post type and that description box if needed.
What is post type?
Post type basically is my enum, where it can be a image,
Hmm.
or it can be a video, or it can be just text description.
Okay.
Or it's going to or let me it's two type only. They can be either video or a image, because I do have a description box that will be suffice the text description part. Okay. Now there's a one thing. These two tables I would suggest as
If
right
the
now is my
post is
dimension.
if the post is
Yeah.
neither image or neither video, just it's a some simple strings, then how do you define in
Okay.
this column?
If it's a simple string, if there's nothing in that case, okay, okay. Then let me change this as a caption box. I will take, okay. And suppose this post is just a string,
Hmm.
or like something quotes, I would say.
Okay.
And caption box will contain the features related to tagging, anyone who want to tag in these things. Now, okay, yeah. Now for the reaction part, since the reaction is pretty much related to the kind of in LinkedIn, if you see, we have a full tabs like who has reacted and all those things. So for this thing, it is either 4 or 5 types, not more than that. I maximum 10 reaction will not be given unless it's reaction specific post only. But in general, people can either react in a 5 or 6 manner way. So I can do have a reaction uh, reaction type only, in which, okay, I cannot do because for each post. Okay, fine. Let's see data. How can I handle the reaction also?
Now
Okay,
you check the
now,
question. So for
yeah,
each last 7 days, you have to list the top 3 emojis used by the influencer. So
used by the influencer. Okay,
so you have to track down all the influencers who is staying or where the location is mentioned at California for that particular profile,
mm,
and you have to understand then what are the top 3 emojis used by them.
okay. For each day in the last 7 days, we stop images in California on post written by influencer users with 100. Okay, show emoji,
Like
total reaction, and
in their
existing post
post,
count.
yeah,
Mm,
not I mean the emojis not used by the influencers, but whatever the
used by
post they are
the
created by the
mm,
influencers in their
mm, mm,
post,
mm, mm.
what types of emojis are getting
Yes,
um,
yes, yes, yes.
most traffic. So that is you have to calculate, so
Calculate.
that basically
Okay.
we can classify the major problem of the major problem statement for this exercise is to understand what kind of to have a classification of the particular post. If it is getting a
Yes.
haha emojis, meaning it's a laughable post. Sad
Mm-hmm.
react, meaning it's a sad post, something like that. So that you are doing this
Okay.
exercise.
Got it. Okay, fine. Okay. So in that case, for each post, I have to get something like reaction type also,
Hmm.
because each post will get something reaction from some of the user. And since this is this is like for last 7 days, and top 3 emojis is kind of a aggregated thing. So that will comes under a facts, which I will create with the help of dimension tables, like which these 2 tables. And also for each reaction type, I do create one reaction entity. Okay. And in this reaction entity, I should have the reaction IDs and a particular type. So reaction ID basically means, like, if suppose it's a laugh, then you should have a particular ID, and I should have this reaction type. So
Okay.
in this way, what I can do, I can just make sure, like, I can, with the help of these 3 entities, which I'm thinking right now, just give me, I can create a factual table compromising, making sure, like, okay, this is the user. This user this is the user. First of all, I have to identify whether this user is influential user or not. Do we have this more than 100K followers or not? So for that also, there should be one more entities, not even entities, just kind of a follow who follows whom. That count I have to get. And once I get the count, I'll just over that users, I'll get all the post with the help of post ID with the help of this table. And once I get the post, then I count the number of reaction types. And since I have to just get top 3 emojis, so I'll again count the number of reaction for each type, group it by, and get the total number of reaction for each post. Does it make some sense? Like, am I going
Yeah,
in the correct direction?
it's fine. Yeah, as of now, it's fine.
Yeah.
You come up with
Okay.
the dimensions and fact tables so that we can understand.
Yeah. Okay. So my first dimension table, I'll start with the dimension table, then I'll just correlate everything.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Or
Sure.
yeah.
Dimension will be first. Okay.
Yeah.
An issue.
So one of the dimension table is like my user ID, user, post, this 3 reaction, and then I have to collate something like for each. So let me just put the name. When I put something, followers. So in followers, I will have, let me write down this user. So do you want me to write the attribute also for the each dimension table? Because followers is one of the dimension table I'll create, which include the user ID and the user ID which it followed.
Users and post schema you have already mentioned. So no need
Yes.
to mention again. Followers, this is
Yeah.
for followers, right? User ID.
Followers. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And
fine.
user.
Okay.
So because one, like it can be many to many, like one. So
User
basically
ID and
one
whole user
user.
ID. I can
So
understand it. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's like one person can follow to the many person, and similarly that person also follow to the same person. So it's a mutual thing, mutual connection. Okay, so it's like kind of many. Uh,
That is fine. Yeah.
okay. So this is now coming to the fact table. My fact table pretty much helpful to get me the all those things where I get the aggregate count. So I'll start defining my schema on the fly here. Okay. So in this one, first will be my user ID.
Now, what
Then,
is your name of the factory?
sure. So fact table somehow contain aggregate row is like kind of I'm aggregating all the top 3 emojis. So basically top 3 emojis for each post. Top 3 emojis for influential users basically.
It's okay. Just give a short name, like social media
Top
fact
3.
or anything is fine.
Okay, fine. Then social media top 3 emojis. Okay. So now in this one, I will have a user ID, the post ID, and then I will have the reaction type ID. Then there will be one fact about count this thing for each post, how many user, like for each user, how many posts, how many followers it has, basically. Count followers. Then it again would be like reaction times I have to collate for each post. There will be how many reactions I have get. Count reaction. So I have to create two here. One is like social media reaction and then social media follower. Okay. So I'm just reframing my this thing. User ID. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll just come up with that proper thing. Post ID. And then my first is user ID. Followers. Comma. And then what? So one is this. And then there will be user ID, post ID. And post. Follows count over time. Okay. Then it should be a location also. I need to have a California location. So I need to have date of birth and location here as well. Location. And actually I should have a location ID instead of this. I'm getting one more dimension table with the location name in which I have location ID and the location basically, which include country and state. Okay, then user social media email, then user ID, follower account, and group by aggregated group by aggregate country aggregate country count. Similarly, user ID position, reaction type, and reaction count. And then I also have here followers count, and then this location also. Understand location, aggregate country count come from location. So yeah, this thing I'm good. So I will create two fact table. One is like getting top 3 emojis, which will be having below schema attribute structure. Above will be get influential for country, something like that. And basis on this, I'll get the top. So for last 7 days, there will be one more called date dimension. So date will come also inside this date ID, which will be a primary key. And then there will be a date dimension table as well, which contains.
So your gate influential for country, that is there's a table name.
That's a like a method I put. Yeah, it's like a table name for influential people, like something like that. Easy name, like social media influential.
It's a fact table.
It's a fact table. Social media influential.
So in that fact tables, you have columns like user ID, followers count, aggregate country count. What is aggregate country count?
So for each countries, how many like followers I have. So suppose there's a user ID called 1, there's a 10 follower count. And then for that particular country, okay, no, let me just correct it. As per the question, district top image on user country by influencers from California. So for each, it not a country, but be a state actually.
You want to simply calculate the reaction given by each users.
Yeah, this is, I am done. I'm just taking about this influential customers, like who are the influencers. But that also want to keep as a fact table, which is having more than 100K, but that should be aggregated by the each country. Like, okay, for this California, I have 10 users where the follower count is more than
users not supposed to be always from California. California is a place where the influencers people exist. So users can be from all over the world. But
so that's why this column will not be used to aggregate for each and every.
I'm just trying to make you understand. When a user is giving a reaction, you have to first check the person reacting to that particular people, that guy should be exist from California, and then
Okay.
so
Yeah.
it's basically you need to check the total
Then so I
reaction,
can just
yes,
send
total reaction given by each users, and then you have to check who are the followers for that particular users.
yeah.
If the guys, or if the I mean who is creating the post, if he belongs from California, then only you will consider it. Otherwise, you won't
Okay.
consider it.
Okay. Yeah. So but then in that case, I'll do that grouping in the SQL query only, where I'll get the location ID and group it, and then get the count for each one of them. So this two-fact table, social media followers
Hmm.
and social media top 3 emojis,
Hmm.
will be, as of right now, I'm thinking, sufficient enough, because I can do the aggregation part of this user
Can
from
you
the
think? Can you think? Write a
location.
SQL, a small SQL maybe,
Yeah.
based on that model you have designed. Then
Yes.
you will
Yes.
also
Yes.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. For each 70 last 3 top emojis. So what I'll do,
Hmm.
select all the user ID. No. Select first, I'll take all the user ID from
Let's say the output table
social
you will
media.
have. You will have
Hmm.
post ID, and
Okay.
who is posting this thing, meaning influencers
User.
ID.
User ID.
Influencers is also ID. Sorry,
Okay.
influencers is also an user, but a special
Okay.
type of users who have followers more than 100K. Okay, so
Okay. Okay.
in the
Okay.
output you have influencers ID, or influencers ID, or maybe user ID, whatever user ID, and
Influencer ID is
then
fine. Okay.
users ID, and then top 3 emojis or whatever.
Top 3 watches. Yeah. Okay. Let me try it.
Yeah, these 2 columns is sufficient for your output.
Okay. So I'll create one with city clause, where a normal temporary table, and then
Mhm.
I'll just keep join as this only. Select user ID from social media followers, where my this thing, like followers count,
Mm.
will be greater than 1,000, like 1 lakh, I think. Yeah, 100K. I'll just put as a number right now. Okay.
Mm.
So, and also I need to have user ID is here. So I'll just close this. Now I'll just do the again joining with my select top 3 post emojis. So now I'll get the all the user ID, which is like having proper information, like they are good influencers who are doing the post. Then I'll just take this, select user ID. So some attributes I'll decide later. Select star from CTE, inner join on this social media followers.
Mm.
Suppose S, and this is like C on C dot. So okay, then I just join it with this social media followers one, S dot user ID. So basically, Ankur, in this one, once you are looking for the output as post ID, post ID, the emoji count, and emoji. That's all. Like post ID, emoji count, and what else? Emoji type. So now in this one, if you see, I'm able to get the user, which is like influential users from this social media
Post ID,
followers.
emoji type, count, and also user ID, who are
User ID.
basically
Okay.
influencers.
User ID. So this part, user ID, I'm able to get it from the above, where follower count equals to greater than 1 lakh. And then after that, since I have to make sure there's an emoji test, I have to join this with this thing, my post dimension table. Will I get the post ID?
How do you
So if
get
I
the
do the
location as California?
So location is California. Also, there's a one location dimension table where I'm like putting this status California. So I have to do a filter of status California and joining it with the location ID, location dimension table. So I'll
Okay.
first do that location inner join, or like just join with the location on a high level. I'm just writing on location dot I user dot location ID equals to location dot location ID, and there should be a where and clause, a fair clause where I think we are where it should be and because this is like many clauses I have to do. Location dot state equals to California. Whatever we have here, this thing. So in this way, I'll get the location specific for California. Now, for this thing, I have to aggregate I have to basically on the emoji count, I get the count of emoji because that is one thing I have considered as an aggregate one, and that it should be, and then emoji type also, then group by
Top 3, how will you calculate?
top 3. How will I calculate? So once I get the full data set, I'll get the ranking, row number ranking, and I'll get the top 3 from it. Like it is possible. Like once I get the full
Yes,
data set, it is what, yeah. So count of distinct emoji type because I have many emoji type, and for each one I will get the emoji count, and then the grouping by 1 and 2. Like it might not be exactly correct, but somehow I'll try to do in this way. Group by 1 and 2. Basically, I'll get the count of this. I'll get emoji type. I'll get user ID and the post ID because of group by. So for each user ID, I might have many posts, but this user ID is basically my influential user ID. So you want user ID also?
No,
Let
it's
me.
fine. It's fine. It's fine,
Fine,
Nilesh.
yeah.
Yeah, I can get
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's discuss some designing related aspect. So I want you to build a system where you can create a data warehouse for real-time data. Like maybe you are working for a stock exchange and you are getting milliseconds update for every stocks and whatever the dynamics is showing in the stock market, and you want to capture those data with very high throughput data. These are, and not all the regular warehouse won't be capable to capture those many updates in a shorter period of time. So suppose you have to ingest that real-time data first and build a pipeline so that you can do a stream analytics on top of that real-time data, and then you can create a data warehouse also. So
Okay.
you tell
Just
me from the ingestion part, how will you ingest and how will you analyze and how will you do some real-time analytics on top of that, and then the warehouse part.
Let me just first get my understanding correct. So there's a like stockbroker kind of it's an app or it's like kind of platform.
You can think that you are supposed to consume from us national stocking this API, something like that.
Okay. So I'll start getting the data on it, like milliseconds of data will coming into a picture, and then I have to consume it. I have to do some analytics over that, and then put into a data warehouse.
Correct. The data
My understanding
warehouse is
correct?
supposed to change. Yeah. So suppose in the data warehouse you have matrices for each stocks or maybe some portfolios, but these are the real-time updates are happening within milliseconds updates are happening.
So just so on a data warehouse, I shall not have a duplicate value. What I want to do is like, can I have duplicate values as well by any chance at the data warehouse?
Duplicate values not. Suppose you have 3 stocks, okay, and or maybe 3 portfolios. So and you are now trying to calculate the matrices on top of those stocks or portfolios. Okay.
Got it. Okay, so basically it's just like getting some kind of a BI dashboard over those 3 incoming stocks and that
Correct.
way.
And maybe
So
you can, maybe you want to plug in a real-time dashboard on top of that warehouse too.
relevant on
So
top of
that is
this.
fine only. Visualization part will come to later. Now
Okay,
think
okay.
till the warehousing part, how you can create the real-time warehouse, real-time data warehouse.
And data warehouse. Okay. Uh, in this approach, since there is no transformation required, it will just get data from there, putting to data warehouse.
Transformation you can do in the you'll do
Okay.
real-time analytics.
Okay. So, okay, let me start my thinking process on this one. I'll
You will
give some
ingest
points
some
like
data in
data
real time.
environment.
You'll calculate some metrics, and you have to
Okay, but
dump
that's okay.
those data in a warehouse. But the only condition is it's not a batch process. So
Not a batch
within
process. Okay.
it's not a batch process. It's like
Okay.
within every milliseconds or whatever the times the matrices are getting updated, you have to run a real-time job, and based on that, the real-time update is supposed to happen in the warehouse.
Okay.
The warehouse should have
Okay.
the
Okay.
capability to update in every seconds or
In
in
every
every
second. Okay.
minutes, whatever.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, okay, let's start explaining like how can I start this if I have to build this from the scratch. Since this is a real-time application, there's no batch which I get from the requirement. So I'll start taking the data from the kind of a queue. I have to use something kind of a Kafka here I can use as a real-time processing, which
Okay.
will start intake data as the throughput is very much high, like 1
Mm.
million records, like 10,000 records per second. This throughput is very high for the Kafka. So for my ingestion, if suppose coming from external API, I'll first set up a queue or a Apache Kafka PubSub model kind of a thing, where I'll get my all the incoming traffic into Apache Kafka. Now, after that, the second layer is a second layer in which I have to make sure there's no transformation, but some kind of aggregation I have to do. So in that case, I can use the EMR serviceless capabilities or like glue catalog or even a small process where I can start my Spark job running over those incoming data from the Apache Kafka and set it into a Delta Lake kind of a thing. Because in warehouse, we want to make sure it should have the capability of doing some aggregation at the data warehouse as well, incoming records. And Delta Lake is one of the best I can think as of right now, which will take the incoming data and store in a Delta warehouse where I can do the merge properties or like I just make sure like no duplicates value come into picture. And if something get updated at the same real time, I'll just do the merge capabilities of data. I can use the merge capabilities of Delta Lake, and which will suffice in the data warehouse.
No,
Make some
okay,
sense? Yeah.
that is fine, but now just let's
Hmm.
break the total pipeline in small
Hmm.
parts and let's discuss the
Hmm.
specific part. So
Okay. Okay.
when you are trying to ingest the data from Kafka
Okay. Okay.
from an API, right?
Okay.
So suppose it's an API, and if the data you are getting then from the National Stock Exchange API.
Yes. Yes.
So you are plugging your Kafka topics over there. So you are
Yes.
getting data in real time. Now,
Yes.
where the data for, so basically, which cloud you are choosing here?
Let's choose AWS only. Let's choose
Okay,
AWS
AWS.
only.
So from
Kinesis I have to use. Yeah.
Kinesis or whatever. So
Yeah.
after you plug in the data, after you consume from the API, where the data first lands in AWS, and how you will be cataloging those data first, because that is also an important part. You have to catalog those
True.
data.
True. True.
So explain those process.
Okay. So here we can use one concept of event notification
Hmm.
over the S3 bucket. So as soon as I get some data into Kafka, it
Hmm.
start pushing into my S3 bucket, and I should put some kind of a nomenclature over the S3 bucket where I should have an event notification on that name. Suppose the incoming some timestamp date and then some timestamp, the structure of my S3 bucket. Once I get the event notification, I can send that into AWS SQL queue as one of the pipeline in which I just make sure I can consuming the data. Once I have that in AWS SQL queue, I can trigger a glue database, glue catalog here basically, which
Hmm.
will do the pipeline ingestion of like starting the pipeline, writing data into a specific S3 location only, what I'm saying right now. Because in this, if I write in the same S3 location, I can again run separately my group crawler, which will make sure I get the data in particular tabular format in that Athena, so I can query in future if required. But since it's real time, on the data warehouse side, since I'm in AWS, I can use this Redshift Spectrum, where I can just directly pull the data from S3, create an external schema, external table over that, and start dumping data into those three for three stocks there, all those for three stocks into that table, and do the analytics if required over that
No, I don't have any problem
Redshift
with this.
Spectrum.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with this design, but only one doubt I have, whether Redshift Spectrum will be able to handle high throughput data or not, whether Redshift is designed to capture real-time data.
Okay.
So do you know any other
that makes sense.
alternatives?
No,
Yeah, do you know any other alternatives AWS offers which can handle real-time data?
I think then I can use Amazon Keyspace, kind of a subsidiary of Cassandra. That also makes sense because it's a very it's very high write is there, because I have to make sure the write should be there, and then the read is also needs to be very much high. The throughput point of view, I can use Amazon Keyspace, subsidiary of Cassandra, where I can just dump all those things over the Cassandra. And one more pipeline just for if analytics required on a later point of view, I can put data into a data warehouse as a data mart, and then we can use it, or in data mart, and then we can use it. Yeah.
Do you know any time series database or data warehouse offerings by AWS?
Time series data warehouse, not that much, Ankur, because they are not got a chance to look into it properly. But I can understand we can use a time series data here as well, because that will make much more sense to consume data on a real-time basis. That makes much more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So thank you, Nilesh. That's all from my end. Do you have any question?
Any specific feedback which I need to look into more?
So your overall introductions and whatever the project you have worked on, and so those things, and your overall understanding of the designing part is fine. I will suggest you to practice some data modeling questions, because even if you'll be getting to understand to reach in a specific point, whether you'll be capable to I mean, explain your thought process. But in interview room, you have to be little prompt, you have to be little so that comes only when you will be able to practice multiple problems. So
I'll take this as a feedback. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
Otherwise, those things are fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for your time. Actually, yeah. Thank you so much.